Hello friends, this is Gage Thru Hikes and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be hiking the Appalachian Trail this year from Georgia to Maine, and I put this channel together to discuss backpacking, some of my thoughts, and some information about my journey. If you like this channel, please do subscribe and please hit notifications so you can see what I'm up to. I do have a Patreon account at Gage Thru Hikes, and I'm also going to be starting a blog, the details of it, which I'm going to announce soon. So here I have some of the gear I'm going to be taking with me on my 2020 thru hike. As you can see, I've divided up into a bunch of different sections. I've got my backpack here, which is a Crown Gear Blaze AC60. I have my sleeping system and tent up here, which is an Enlightened Equipment Revelation 20 and a 6 Moon Design Skyscape Trekker tent. I have here some survival stuff, my cooking gear, my clothing, some luxury gear, my food bag, my water, and of course my mascot Bargle Bear. I'm going to go into each of these in greater detail so you can see what I'm carrying, but this gives you an idea of the full spread. And of course I'm using as my pointer one of my carbon fiber tent poles. So probably my most important piece of gear is my backpack. This is a Granite Gear Crown AC60 pack, which I have outfitted with a couple of customizations. I have here a Gossamer Gear hip belt and one on the other side. These have my twin mottos: live a great story and we're all going to die. I also have on here a Mountain Laurel Designs holster for a water bottle. I have a little digital thermometer here so I can see what temperature it is, and a whistle added on here. One thing I do add to my backpack when I'm on the trail is this orange safety flag. This is for hunting season, and also as my backpack is sort of in more subdued colors, it gives me an option to be a little bit more visible if I'm on a road or if I'm hiking in the woods. So as far as my sleeping system, I have 3 items, and it's called a sleeping system because I'm going to be using a quilt. This is an Enlightened Equipment 20 degree 850 fill down quilt. It's the Revelation model. And a quilt, unlike a sleeping bag, is more like a blanket. It has a foot box that buttons up and the rest drapes over you. And this is a very warm 20 degrees, and I'm going to be pairing it with this pad, and this is going to keep me warm from below. And this is a Thermarest ultralight inflatable pad. This is actually the women's version. Now the women's version is slightly lighter. It is a slightly higher R value of 3.9 as opposed to, I think, 3.5 for the men's version. And the trade-off of that, the lightness and the higher insulating value, is that it is slightly shorter. Now, I'm only 5'10", so I can get away with a shorter pad. For me, it's worth it to get the higher insulating value and the lighter weight. I also have one of my favorite pieces of gear, which is my Cocoon AirCore pillow. This comes in a really small bag. It's only 6 ounces, which is a lot in backpacking terms, but it's worth the weight for me. And this will inflate into a very nice, large pillow. And getting a good night's sleep on the trail is very important, so this is one of my most key pieces of gear that I have. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about my tent. I've chosen to go with a trekking pole tent. This tent is a Skyscape Trekker from 6 Moon Designs. Now, this isn't the original stuff sack it came with. I have actually replaced this with an REI mesh stuff sack. The reason for this is that when my tent is wet, I can stuff it into the outside pouch of my pack here, and hopefully in this mesh stuff sack, it's going to have a better chance of drying during the day while I'm hiking. This is only 28 ounces, and it's meant to be set up with trekking poles. I don't think I'm going to be hiking, at least initially, with trekking poles, so I have purchased 2 custom carbon fiber tent poles to replace them. And I'll be doing another video later on the tent showing you the setup, but these are great. They only weigh a couple ounces a piece, and they allow me to set up my tent without any trekking poles at all, so I can use my hiking stick. Also with my tent, I've got some tent stakes. These are some titanium stakes, also from 6 Moon Designs. I have 2 Z-Packs stuff sacks for the stakes and the pole to keep them organized. Also, during my sleeping system, this dry bag for my sleeping bag is also from Z-Packs. And finally, I've got my ground sheet. I'm currently using a Tyvek sheet. This is a piece of the construction material Tyvek. It's very waterproof and very durable, but it is a little bit heavy. I'm also considering moving to this polycrow sheet. Now, if you notice, this is a lot lighter, a lot less durable, and I'm still going back and forth on whether it's worth the wait. This might come in handy just to have something to use as a ground cloth from day to day, if I'm sitting out picnicking, if I want to sleep cowboy style, which is to sleep out without any tent. But this is a heck of a lot lighter, so it's a big decision to make. So to discuss cooking on the trail, let me give you an idea of what's going to be in my kitchen. First of all, I'm going to be cooking with a propane stove, and these are the canisters for it. I'm going to probably go through a bunch of these during my hike. And this is the BRS 3000 titanium stove. Now this stove is only about $16, I think, on Amazon. It's very inexpensive, it's very light, it weighs less than an ounce, and it is a great little stove. I mean, it's not fancy. And so this is going to be my stove setup. Now, I am going to be predominantly cold soaking, which means I'm going to be soaking my food in a watertight container while I hike. So my stove is only going to be used to warm up my food if I need a morale boost, not necessarily to cook my food, which is why I'm going with a really simple stove setup. So for cold soaking, I have two things. I have a Vargo Titanium Bot 700. This is a 700 milliliter titanium pot, which I can heat food in, but it also has a silicone seal around the edge. And I can put food in there and let it cold soak while I hike. This also has some nice handles, so I can use it as a mug. Great little versatile piece of gear. I'm also bringing a Talenti jar. This is a Talenti gelato jar. They come with Talenti gelato, so you can get it at Whole Foods. And this is going to give me a backup cold soaking container, and also something to use as a mug if I want to maybe be eating my dinner and sipping a cup of coffee, eating my breakfast and sipping a cup of coffee, just to give me two containers. This is only a couple ounces, so it's a very low weight penalty to have that kind of versatility. This is my Alpha Long titanium spork. Sporks can be used as a spoon and a fork. I also have here a bandana that lives in my cook set. This is going to be used for wiping up and to use as a pot holder. A bunch of different uses. It's always handy to have an extra bandana around. All of this is going to be in an outdoor research stuff sack. Now, in order to cook it all, we have to have water. So for my water setup, I'm going to be taking two 1 liter smart water bottles. These are cheap, you can get them anywhere. They hold up really well, they're a good size, and the threading system fits onto my water filtration system, which I'm going to be using the Sawyer Squeeze. This is a very basic system. There are a lot of Katadyn Be Free, there's the Sawyer Mini, but this is a tried and true tested system. I'm very confident in it, as long as you don't let it freeze. Now this, if you're ever in sub-freezing temperature, I have to keep this in my sleeping bag at night so that it doesn't freeze. Once it freezes, the filter in here is going to become worthless. But other than that, it's pretty much bomb-proof. It can be back-flushed in the field and is really pretty much idiot-proof. I have a dirty water bag. This is my CNOC bag. This is going to screw right onto the end here. I'm going to use this to flush the water through this and to fill those up. This also gives me an additional 2 liters of water carrying capacity, so I can go up to 4 liters if I have a particularly dry stretch, or if I know I'm going to be hitting a situation where there's going to be water not there for me. Along with this, I've got a coupler. This is just a little female to female coupler that can be used to screw this onto the front of one of those so that I can use it to back flush, and it's just going to make back flushing my rig that much easier. All of this is going to go into a mesh stuff sack. I have here an extra lighter, which lives with my cooking gear. This is going to be a lighter to basically light my stove with. And finally, if you eat, you're going to have to take care of using the restroom. Out in the woods, I've got a titanium douche shovel and a roll of toilet paper here in a Ziploc bag, all ready to go. This is something that's going to be on one of the outside pockets of my pack most of the time, so that I can get to it quickly if I need to. So that's pretty much my entire... So a few pieces of safety gear that I'm going to be bringing with me on the trail this trip. The first and most important is going to be my Earth Sack Almighty. This I actually have loaded with 3 days worth of food for a trip that I'm going to be hopefully taking this New Year's. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing some videos hopefully out there. The Earth Sack is a Kevlar and Spectra food bag that I can put all of my food into. and it will keep it protected from bears and also little bears. Little bears are mice, raccoons, porcupines, or anything else that's going to try to get to my food. Now, the important thing for this is not to necessarily preserve my food, but if a bear does get into the habit of eating campers' food, it becomes a problem bear. And in many cases, the bear has to be put down, which is an enormous expense, is enormous shame for the wildlife, and is not something that you want as a leave no trace camper. Now, many campers will hang their food in bear bags. Bear hang is actually very difficult to do correctly. It takes a lot of time. With the Ursack, I can just tie this to a tree, branch, and all of my food is in something that even if a bear attacks it, is not going to get any food reward. So this is about 12 ounces. It's one of my heavier pieces of gear, but it really is worth it for me for peace of mind. The other thing that I really like about the Ursack is that it is varmint proof. So this is proof of mice, raccoons, porcupines, and anything else that's going to try to chew their way into your food. A lot of the shelters on the Appalachian Trail now have bear boxes, which are bear-proof boxes that are attached to the shelter where you can put all of your food into, and it'll be safe from bears, and it's a secure place to store your food that you're required to use, actually, if you're hiking through, staying at that shelter. The thing is that the bear boxes are often not mouse-proof. So if you just have a bear bag set up and you're putting your food into one of those boxes, there's a good chance it's going to get eaten by mice. And with this, I know I can just throw my food in a bear box and have complete peace of mind that my food is going to be there untouched when I wake up in the morning. I already mentioned on my pack I've got my orange signaling flag. This is just nice to have. It's nice to have something bright. This is visibility pink on one side, visibility on the orange. I just got it, and it's about 0.2 ounces. It's it's about 0.2 of an ounce, so a very good piece of gear. I have here my headlamp from UCO Gear. This is a great little headlamp. It's USB chargeable, so I can charge it on the trail. It's got a red and a white light, and just great for hiking at night and also for having around camp. I do have a length of about 50 feet of paracord. This comes in handy as clothesline. It comes in handy for a number of different uses. It's good to have around. And if I am ever in a very high bear danger area and I want to hang my Ursack as a bear bag, take that extra step, I have some line to do it with. I have another lighter. In addition to the lighter I'm going to be carrying with my cook set, so I have 2 ways to start a fire if I need to. A little bit of ibuprofen, key. I am carrying a compass. I haven't decided what I'm going to be doing yet as far as paper maps. I think I'm going to be using my iPhone 11 that my mom, thank you very much, got me for Christmas as my primary means of navigation, but it's always good to have a compass on you for a backup. I generally carry a couple of these little fire bugs. They weigh almost nothing, and they're a really good way to start a fire. This is a wet fire brand, but there are a couple other brands. They basically allow you to start a fire even with wet kindling. Nice to have in case of an emergency. Here's some Leukotape. Probably not taking the whole roll, but this is the best thing I've found as far as blisters go. I have here a small medical kit. It contains a soft T tourniquet, some blood clot. This is basically everything I would need to stop large bleeding. I don't know whether I'm going to take this whole thing on the trail or not. Still deciding, but I am a little bit comforted to know that if I have a major bleeding incident, I can handle it with this. Also, the soft T tourniquet can be used to make a splint, or it can be used to, help brace a sprained ankle or something like that. It's a nice piece of gear for that. And this is a very light repair kit consisting mainly of seam sealer, some patches for the inflatable stuff like the thermarest and the pillow, and some, of course, duct tape. This is just basically to patch up, and a small sewing kit. This is to patch up anything that I have that breaks on the trail so that I can get through to the next town and get it repaired. So for some of the clothing I'm going to be taking with me on my hike. Now I am going to do a separate video of the clothing I'm going to be wearing and what I'm going to be carrying on my body for the hike. These are only the things that are going to be in my pack. First and most important, though it's not clothing, I haven't mentioned it yet, is my REI Duck's Back pack cover. This is going to go over my backpack and to keep my pack and my pack contents dry in case of rain. I also do, as with my sleeping bag and my journal, have a Z-Packs Dyneema stuff sack for all of my clothing. This is actually waterproof itself, so if for some reason water can get through my pack cover and my pack, my important things inside the pack, my sleeping bag and my clothing in particular, will always stay dry, so it's good to have. I also am going to be carrying a very light mesh dirty clothes stuff sack. This is just for dirty clothes, and the idea being that I can keep my dirty clothes separate from my clean clothes. And I can also, because it's mesh, if I'm hiking in nice weather, I can stuff it in the mesh pocket on the outside of my pack and allow my dirty things a little bit of time to air out. So talking about clothing, starting from the inside out, I'm going to be carrying one extra pair of underwear. These are REI men's boxers. And an extra t-shirt. This is a run-free, it's a very lightweight t-shirt, weighs almost nothing, and is going to be good to have around. I also have a pair of run-free running shorts. These have a liner in them, so I can also use them as a bathing suit. I'm going to be carrying a merino wool 250 base layers. This is going to be bottoms and a craft merino wool 250 weight top. These are going to be my base layers for when it's very cold out, and they're also going to be my sleeping clothes. I like to have a separate pair of sleeping clothes because it does two things. First of all, it keeps you warm to put on dry clothes when you go into bed for the night. And second of all, it's going to make my sleeping bag stay clean longer, because all the oils and the dirt from my body and the sweat from the day of hiking, when I'm not going to have time to take a shower or just a bandana sponge bath after hiking, aren't going to find their way into my bag. They're going to get into these, which I can wash when I go to the next town. These right here are my sleeping socks, which are a pair of smart wool socks. They're a little bit thicker than my normal hiking socks, and they're just, again, going to be devoted to sleeping in and to keep my feet warm while I'm asleep. I'm probably going to switch these out for some thinner socks when the weather gets a little bit warmer. These are my spare hiking socks. These are a Venturi Silverlight pair of socks. It's a brand new brand. I was on the Kickstarter for them, and I'm very happy with them. They are a combined inner sock and outer sock, so they have a little bit of slip to them, so that they're supposed to, and I believe they do, help defend against blisters. They're also sewn with silver thread, which is antimicrobial, antibacterial, and anti-odor. So I can wear these socks for days upon days, and they're not going to get as stinky or as crusty as a normal pair of smart wool socks. I have here my camp booties. They're very lightweight. These are going to be my camp shoes, my camp slippers. They've got a rubberized bottom and a DWR coated outside. They're very simple, and I decided just for weight reasons to go with these instead of a heftier pair of camp shoes. I have here my Vask beanie. This is going to keep me warm at night, and it's going to keep me warm on the trail while I'm hiking. I'm going to be taking a Fly Low puffy. This is my down jacket, and this is going to be for in-camp mainly, not for hiking. And I have my Marmot Precip Eco rain jacket, and this is going to be my primary rain jacket. I also have this Dutch Wear Gear rain skirt. So this is going to be, instead of a pair of rain pants, this is very simple. It's just a piece of sil nylon that basically secures around your waist like a skirt. And what this does when it's raining is it allows me to keep this area dry, but also to breathe, and it's also very easy to put on and take off. So I don't have to fumble around when I'm hiking, putting on a pair of rain pants. It also weighs next to nothing, so it's, I think, a pretty good bet as far as adding to my rain gear. A lot of people don't bring rain pants at all. I thought I'd add that to give me a little extra protection. Finally, I've got two pieces of specialized gear. I've got my Shower Pass soft shell gloves. These are going to be my gloves for the winter portion of my hike. I'm probably going to send them back home around April. And I also have a Sea to Summit bug net, which is going to be invaluable coming through Pennsylvania and New Jersey when we get towards the summer months, and keep me protected from bugs. So a few luxury items I'm going to be taking with me. The first and handiest is perhaps this Thermarest Z-Seat. This is just a little piece of folding padding material. It's great to put under your bum when you're sitting down on the trail, so you're not sitting on a cold rock or a wet log. It's also great to put a little doorstop on your tent, so I've got a place to change my shoes. And overall, very lightweight, but I think completely worth it for the amount of uses that I find with this. Also very good for fanning a fire if you're trying to start a fire. I'm also going to be bringing a Anker 130,000 milliamp charging set. Now this should give me 5 individual charges on my iPhone. I also have a wall plug that's supposedly a fast charging plug, so I should be able to charge this up in a couple of hours when I get to a town. And this is going to hopefully give me enough power to run my phone for both navigation, photography, and for shooting videos like this. I am going to be bringing my journal so I can keep some paper reminders of my trip and do some writing. I've got my Live a Great Story patch on here, and I've got my Second Chance to Play, my friends from Lancaster who I'm going to miss terribly while I'm gone. And finally, I have my friend Bargle Bear, who comes with me on all of my camping trips. He's my mascot. And all of this, except for Bargle Bear, who generally sits on the outside of the pack, is going to be in another Z-Packs dry sack, stuff sack. So those are a few pieces of luxury gear that I'm going to be bringing with me on the trail. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch and to learn about some of the gear I'm taking on my thru hike this 2020. I'm going to be starting February 26th, hopefully, and I'll be keeping you posted with some updates and some additional posts. I think my next video that I'm going to be posting is a shakedown hike that I'm hoping to take over New Year's, so please keep posted for that. If you're interested in what you're seeing here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Gage Thru Hikes. I also have a Patreon set up. I don't know how that works yet, but we're going to be seeing if that's something I can do. And I'm also going to be blogging at some point. I don't know where we're going to be blogging yet. So for now, this is Gage and Bargle Bear signing out. Have a great day.